Hey everyone, today I'd like to share a relic from my past. This is the 2012 MacBook Air. This is actually the very first MacBook that I purchased with my own salary after I started work. So back in 2012, I didn't have a lot of money and I wanted to get higher specs. So I actually bought a refurbished unit. So this is a 2 GHz Core i7 with 8 gigs of RAM and a 500 gig SSD. By today's standards, those specs are pretty normal these days, I would say. But yeah, I would think that back then in 2012, this was kind of top of the line. I don't think you would have seen a lot of MacBook Airs back then sporting a 500 gig SSD. And in fact, I think the base configuration used to be 128 gig. So but I wanted to use it as my main computer, so that was one of the reasons why I went big and kind of went all out. And I chose the refurbished route because it helped me get these specs at a more affordable price. So yeah, this is the 2012 MacBook Air, and it's still there's scuff marks and scratches on the corners and all that, but it still works. It still has this very nice light up Apple logo, which you no longer see on the new Macs anymore these days. And yeah, one problem with the 2012 MacBook Air, particularly this year, is that support for the latest Mac OS stops for the 2012 series. So basically, this machine is running Catalina. I upgraded it a while back, but with the coming release of Mac OS 11 Big Sur, that will no longer be supported on the 2012 Macs. So both my MacBook Air and my Mac Mini will be affected. But I think these machines are still in great working condition. So I think back in, I would say 2014 or 2015, I actually did a battery upgrade on this MacBook Air. I bought a battery online from Q10, I swapped it to get back the proper battery life. And then over time, this machine followed me through a lot of different jobs and all that. And even I spent a significant amount of time gaming on this machine. Like, I could install Boot Camp, I could play games with it. It was an incredible machine, and I would like to still keep it in working condition. So one of the things I've noticed is that the CPU runs incredibly high, which I will show you later. It can run easily at 100 degrees Celsius, which is pretty bad. And it's an 8-year-old notebook, so I think this is one of the things I really want to do for this machine. I want to kind of keep it in great working condition. So I want to open it up, clean it out, maybe replace the thermal paste and see if it helps to get the temperature down. And hopefully this MacBook can stay with me and still continue to work for me for a good couple more years. So yeah, let's check it out. So we are going to run some quick benchmarks before we actually do any of the surgeries. And as you can see right now, it's mostly idle and this thing is already running at a toasty 79 to 80 degrees Celsius. So let's see what happens when we run the Geekbench benchmark. And wow, it is already 101 degrees Celsius, which is it's boiling water. I could cook instant noodles. Okay, now it's dropping back down, but yeah, 101 degrees Celsius towards the end of this pretty low Geekbench score. So let's dive into the surgery and see if it improves after. Now to run it a second time after the whole cleanup and application of the new thermal paste. Let's see how it does. Okay, it's over now, and the score is significantly higher. Like, what was the number just now? 400 something. So it went up like by a good 200 at least. And even though the temperature still hit 100 degrees Celsius, I think the one thing to be noticed, the one thing that was most noticeable is the fact that the fan barely spun on. Like it can hit a maximum of 6,500 RPM, but I think it maxed out at about 3,000-ish before the Geekbench finished running. So that's actually pretty awesome. Yeah, I would think this is a significant improvement. That was a pretty massive improvement that I was not expecting. The scores did go a lot higher, and that's like just after a very fresh coat of thermal paste. Like I don't know if thermal paste has like some break-in period where like it reaches the peak optimal range, like maybe in a couple of days, after a couple of days of usage. But yeah, the scores for both single core performance and multi-core performance increased quite a bit, and it's all from just cleaning out the 8-year-old dried up thermal paste and replacing it with a new one from like I was using this Cryorig CP7. Yeah, so that was pretty cool, and I think actually the next step might be to install some third-party plugins to help modify the fan curve on this MacBook Air. And if you modify the fan curve to something a little bit more not so conservative, so that the fan maybe spins up a bit earlier and keeps the CPU a little bit cooler, because it seems like the fan did not start ramping up until the CPU actually hit 100 degrees Celsius, right? But anyhow, yeah, so I think I can safely say that this 2012 8-year-old MacBook Air can probably survive quite a few more years for me. Anyway, that's all, so thanks for watching!